and available to answer any and all of your political questions. There's no judgments, there's no debating, there's no roasting, there's no such thing as a stupid question, so you should feel at liberty to ask me anything that you are curious about. You know, there was a time when I did not know anything about politics, and I was always very intimidated to ask people questions about politics because I didn't want to seem dumb. And, you know, there were a couple of times in my life when I literally had people telling me that I was dumb for not knowing things about politics. So now I like to make myself available to people to answer their questions about politics. Drip Trip says, can I join? The answer is no. I don't do debates. I don't do interviews or anything. If you got a question, put it in the chats. But that is all we are doing here today, everybody. You can ask me anything that you like about politics, and I will try my best to give you a good answer. You know, I'm a bit of a political junkie, so I got lots of information to share. Drip Trip says, who'd you vote for? Democrats up and down the ballot. But yeah, you can ask me anything that you like about politics. I am here. I am open. I am available. There's not going to be any roasting. There's not going to be any judgments or debates. I am just here to answer your questions about politics. And it could be anything like, Drip Trip, why did you vote for Democrats? There's a lot of reasons, you know. I've been watching the things that the Republicans have been doing for the last couple of decades, and it seems to me like they are more concerned about accumulating money and power than actually taking care of people. There have been cases in front of the Supreme Court led by Republicans that have basically kind of like legalized bribery. January 6th was a big thing as well. Republicans don't believe in climate change. They're still pushing trickle-down economics. I like the Democratic platform, and I hate the Republican platform. Let's see here. Keep on living for life. Is it weird that 20 million less people voted with the biggest turnout? You know, the data on people that sat out this election, I think, is interesting, and I'm not 100% convinced that there's anything like nefarious that happened because of it. There's an incumbency bias that we have seen around the globe. Like, we have seen the incumbent parties, left, right, and center, all over the world have lost elections this year. So it seems like people are just upset at the state of the world, and they're taking it out on incumbents. And I think probably part of that has to do with, I think part of that is people just like not voting and feeling like their vote is punishing incumbents by not voting. That's number one. Number two is there's a lot of propaganda online that was trying to convince people not to vote. You know, there were a lot of people online who were saying that they were progressives or saying that they were Democrats or saying that they were independents or whatever, and telling people, don't vote, it will send a message to the two-party system, or don't vote, it will punish Democrats for doing X, Y, or Z, or, you know, if you vote for this person, you're complicit in this thing that they did. The parties are the same, voting doesn't do anything, you know, all that stuff. And I've seen these narratives time and time again, and, you know, there's a lot of money and influence behind them, and so I think they probably just had an effect on people. Let's see here. Mr. G. Minor says, why would Kamala Harris be a good president? And then a bunch of laughing faces. Like, I don't actually think you want to know that. Greg says, 2024 proved that 2020 was rigged. No, it doesn't. Because if Democrats rigged the 2020 election when they didn't have the presidency, why wouldn't they rig the 2024 election? Let's see here. Nader, should we be afraid based on what you understand about the new guy's policy, character, etc.? Absolutely, we should be afraid. Absolutely. Trump has said that he's going to do terrible things, and now he has the ability to do terrible things. Let's see here. Frenchie says, thoughts on tariff? They're going to raise prices on basically everything. Trucker for Life, why Israel attacked USS Liberty in 1967? I actually don't know about that incident, so sorry about that. Question, why are people simping for politicians? I don't know. I don't know why people deck themselves out in Trump merch and buy Trump t-shirts and Trump shoes and Trump watches and shit like that. I think it's dumb, and I don't do that. There are certain politicians that I like, but you will not see me wearing any, you know, Katie Porter merch anytime soon. Let's see here. Ricardo Rivera says, and you're not simping for your candidate that lost. No, I'm not. Alex says, you lost by a landslide. Okay. That's not a question. Mr. X says, if Biden passes, Kamala can still be president. I mean, that's not going to stop Trump from being president, and that's the thing that is what I didn't want to happen, and what nobody should have wanted to happen. Whole Democratic Party in shambles. You all wasted $1 billion on a loser. Okay. Thought on ranked choice voting. I like ranked choice voting, but it's not a cure-all. Like, we had ranked choice voting for the mayoral election in New York, and we still elected Mayor Adams, and he sucks. Let's see here. 28, they talking about it, making sure he's not going to be in the White House. I'm not really sure what you're referring to. Let's see here. Disco Dog. Why do Republicans not understand that emotions and credibility are two of the three pieces to an argument? I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Disco Dog. Let's see here. All right, we got lots of people here. Comments are coming in fast and furious. I'm just going to give you guys a quick little synopsis of what this live stream is. You can ask me anything that you like about politics. There's not going to be any judgments or debating or anything. I don't do debates. I think debates are stupid. But I also want to create an environment where you can ask questions about politics and know that you're not going to be made to feel stupid, or I'm not going to judge you if you have a question about, like, you know, something that other people might say, like, oh, you should probably already know that. Because when I was in college, I asked my friends a political question once, and they made me feel like I was dumb for asking it. So I try to not to make people feel that way as well. If you're trolling, if you're not asking a question, if you're just being a jerk, I will block you. And I know that that's not a threat like people care about. Some people come on here to be blocked. But I just want to let you know, in case you think I'm only blocking you because you have a different opinion than me. I block people that annoy me, and I block people that are trolling. That's basically it. Haley Martin said, "Will checks and balances prevent a president party take too much power?" That's the way it's supposed to work, but unfortunately, with the Supreme Court being the way that it is, and with Trump being the way that he is, I don't really have a lot of faith that our system of checks and balances is going to survive. Let's see here. This guy says Biden versus Missouri over and over again. I don't know what you're talking about. Indigo Jones, what's the Democrats' next step to win an election? I don't know. And honestly, I'm kind of flummoxed because to me, the case against Republicans is so obvious. The only explanation that I can think of is that, propaganda is strong and there's a lot of money and influence behind the propaganda. You got Elon Musk with his entire fucking website, tossing Republican propaganda left and right. And I think it just had an effect. I think it had an effect on people. And I think that people who are hurting because they are suffering from cost of living and things like that, I think that they are more susceptible to propaganda because they're looking for somebody to blame. And so they hear somebody telling them that the reason why they don't have the life that they want is because of feminists and immigrants, and they believe it because they want somebody to blame. Let's see here. Hazel Cat says, "Do you know if the Senate can change filibuster rules to end without a supermajority?" Yeah, you only need a simple majority in order to end the filibuster or change the rules around the filibuster. Mata026, who would you wanted to have run against Donald Trump? Pete Buttigieg would have been interesting to me. I mean, I think Pete Buttigieg is probably the best communicator in the Democratic Party. People have criticized him for being a little too centrist, not progressive enough. And I think that is a valid criticism, but I also don't really believe in that being disqualifying for Democrats, because I still view a centrist Democrat as being leagues better than a centrist Republican because they're not trying to shove fucking trickle-down economics down our fucking throats still. With the voting electorate being the way that it is, I wonder if, the nation is too homophobic to elect somebody like Pete Buttigieg. I was really hoping that they weren't so misogynistic to not elect Hillary Clinton. Was wrong about that. I was really hoping that they were not too racist and misogynistic to elect Kamala Harris. Was wrong about that too. So yeah, we'll see. Van Wilder, you've lost the trust of American voters. Rebrand yourself. Why did we lose that trust, do you think? Is it because we tried to help? Is it because people thought we weren't good enough communicators? It doesn't track for me. The math doesn't math. Let's see here. Jared says, I wanted to vote for Pete in 2020. I think Pete's great. I have criticisms, but I have criticisms about every politician, Let's see here. Mr. Man, can you explain how someone could vote for Kamala considering that she couldn't form a coherent sentence? I think it's an interesting criticism considering, that Donald Trump has a much harder time forming a coherent sentence than Kamala Harris does. Let's see here. Because you put skin tone and gender before everything. No, I don't. Let's see here. All right, gonna start doing some blocking because people are starting to annoy me. Okay, there we go. Jessica says, how do we meet Republicans in the middle with trans issues? I don't think we should be meeting Republicans in the middle with trans issues. When a party has become as extreme as the Republican Party has become, then it is our duty to not meet them in the middle, because at a certain point it is, it's a defeating gamemanship strategy where we move a little bit to the right to meet them. They move further to the right and say, no, that's not the center anymore. That's you're extreme left now because you believe that. They've been doing this for decades, and I have seen it, and I was really hoping that the rest of America has seen it, because I see that as being fundamentally disqualifying to all Republican politicians. Nicole Travis, is Project 2025 real? Yes. And even though Republicans were denying that it was real during the election, now that they've won, they are all admitting that Project 2025 is real. All right. Okay, gonna do a quick little block here. What else we got here? Can you explain why these young men are so triggered by Kamala? I think honestly, I think it has to do with propaganda. Like if you look at the social media platforms, they all push material that is intended to radicalize young men. You got your Andrew Tateses, you got your Joe Roganses, you got your what the fuck's that dude's name from Canada? Richard something or whatever. I can't remember. Spencer or something. I can't remember. But anyways, all of these guys are pushing this narrative on young men that the reason why they are not happy, the reason why they don't have the life that they want is because of things like feminism and affirmative action. And that's a really easy and simple explanation to hear when you are suffering. And when I did just see, I can't claim this as my joke, but I did just see somebody on TikTok make the point that these young men are explaining their vote for Trump by saying basically a monologue from Pride and Prejudice. It's like, I'm 27, I have no prospects, I am already a burden on my family. Let's see here. All right. Simple Man says this dude is pushing beta bullshit. Well, your mom called me an alpha when I was fucking her last night. Let's see here. Farah, I want to be petty and send pictures of Melania to all my so-called Republican friends. Honestly, like, I'm mad, and so I don't encourage anybody to do things that are that petty, but I don't think that you should have to suffer people that are friends of yours who voted in a way that is disastrous. And I think that it is totally fine to cut people out of your life. I have sent emails to people just being like, I understand I'm not going to change your mind about this. And I understand that just like being my friend might not be the deal breaker that I hope it is. But I can't have you in my life because that would be a tacit agreement that what you did was okay. And what you did was not okay. What you did was not okay. And if you want to ask me why what you did was not okay, I will tell you that there are 4 women who are dead right now from pregnancy complications that could have been averted. But you voted for a guy who removed abortion protections for women, and now women are suffering all over the country, and 4 women are dead, and one of those women was a mom already, and so now her child is an orphan, thanks to you and your vote. All right, we got Interesting with Scott is back. What's going on, my man? Good to see you again. Alrighty, let's go back down here. Why was Elon's $1 million giveaway thing legal? It wasn't. But that was what he did. That was his calculus was... if Trump wins the election, then this investigation is going to go away. And if he doesn't win the election, then I will use all of my money and power and influence to get out of any legal repercussions. If I lose the case, which probably won't even go to trial for years because people with money and power are able to they're able to delay. And if he loses that, it's going to be a fine that he can pay because he has $500 billion or some fucking dumb shit like that. All right, let's see here. Omada026 says, crazy how much humility Harris exercised in conceding the loss. The right would never. Yeah, there's not going to be another January 6th right now. But here's the thing, is the left's not going to get any fucking credit for that. No one's going to go, oh, the Democrats didn't do a fucking January 6th, even though they lost the election. Democrats aren't out there spreading fucking conspiracy theories about how the election was stolen. Maybe we need to reconsider the way that we talk about leftists. But no, that's not going to happen. Everybody's just going to go about not giving any Democrats any fucking credit and not giving Republicans any fucking blame. Let's see here. Jim Tom 972. Would you like to go back to all the riots and looting that the Democrats did? Jim Tom, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Jim Tom, because I am well aware of all of the rioting and looting that has happened in recent history, and I am well aware of all the investigations into the rioting and looting that happened in the past couple of years, and the FBI, which is very much not a squishy progressive organization, has found that the majority of looting and rioting that happened over the past couple of years was either performed by right-wing extremists or incited by right-wing extremists. So you can miss me with that bullshit. All right, let's see here. Was there a January 6th when Obama won? Well, no, because Bush was a shitty president, but he was at least responsible enough to not tell people that he had actually won the election and that they should all riot because of it. This guy says, "You're so one-sided." I'm not one-sided. I look at both sides, and then I use my brain to come to a reasonable conclusion. Let's see here. Uncle Randy says, "I wish people would admit that they only really care about money." Alex Conland says, "Y'all still clinging to January 6th. Please give me a fucking break, man. If Democrats did that, we'd be hearing about it for fucking decades, man. Miss me with that shit. Unfucking believable." Let's see here. Obama ran against McCain. Yeah, he did. Sorry, I misspoke, Curtis. You're 100% right about that. I was trying to remember who the last president was before Obama, and I forgot that McCain would have been the one to have said that instead. Let's see here. Andrew Thoss, how does Kamala raise nearly $1 billion in campaign funding but ended up in debt? I have not seen any substantive reporting that is true, Andrew Thoss. So I gotta say, be more careful with the information that you look up. This guy says they burned down cities during BLM. Yeah, and again, the FBI found that was all right-wing extremists that did that shit. C. Jen and Go says, "I was told America doesn't care about protecting groups of people. We care about money." I'm not really sure what you're getting at there. Maybe you should rephrase. All right. Let's see here. This guy Ronnie says, "Why do Democrats cry so much?" Because we fuck so good, we feel really bad for the people that can't fuck as good as we do. Tim Marmon, 185. Fry's is run by Democrats. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about the FBI. Yeah, no, the FBI is not run by Democrats. Let's see here. How will they cut $2 trillion from the budget? They're going to take money away from the services that people need. They're going to take money, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They are going to, axe the budget of the Department of Education. They're going to axe the department's budgets for all different kinds of budgets. They cut $7 billion out of the housing and urban development in Trump's first term, and that is the reason why we are suffering from a housing shortage right now. So congratulations, everybody. That shit's going to happen again. MJ says, how long until the hyperinflation hits? Right now, we're seeing a little peak in inflation because companies are anticipating the tariffs that Trump said that he was going to institute. When Trump institutes the tariffs, that's when I believe we're going to start seeing more price increases, and also mass deportations is also going to increase prices across the board. So, it really just depends on when those policies are implemented. Let's see here. Caden Woolworth says, when did the FBI say that far right-wing groups did the rioting in 2020? Give it a Google, Kamala bailed out the right-wing rioters. Talk about denial. Yeah, Coyote, you're annoying me. Congratulations, you're out of here. Let's see here. Deportations are going to increase prices. Yes, because there will be labor shortages. And in order to mitigate the damages of the labor shortages, there's going to be limited supply, and when supply is low, then demand is high, and that increases prices. Let's see here. Aunt B says, this guy is a fear-mongering Democrat. No, I'm not. See you later. Grace, viable midterm election with two parties, 2026. I sure hope so, Grace, but if Trump and Project 2025 do all the things that they said they were going to do, then it is possible that all elections going forward will be less fair and free than they were before. So, in order to undo that damage, Democrats are going to have a massive turnout of voters at the polls, because we really need to change the margins so that their cheating does not affect the outcome of the election. This guy says, why are Dems so racist? We're not. Let's see here. PS says, how do you find reliable sources? The key is multiple sources, and it has to be multiple different kinds of sources. So you can't just use one right-wing source to verify another right-wing source. You can't use one, independent journalist on X to verify something that another independent journalist on X said. You need to use some legacy media. You need to use some independent media. You need to use some progressive media. You need to use some centrist media. That's how you find reliable sources. Tommy Boy says, is he going to blame the left for leaving a mess? Absolutely. He is going to blame the left, even though we fixed everything. We brought the Trump inflation down to 2.3%. We passed an infrastructure bill that he fucking couldn't. We passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is revitalizing small towns, and he's 100% gonna take credit for all that fucking shit. So just gird your loins, everybody. It's gonna get annoying. It's gonna get real annoying in here. Yep, it's gonna get annoying. Let's see here. Call me true. You agree that he wasn't going to luz no matter what because of all the things that were coming down. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say there, buddy. MAGA now needs to bow to Putin, says Angie Guts. Yeah, I have seen some reporting that Putin is not going to get pushed around by Donald Trump. I read that he had the state-run media, the television, show some of Melania's nudes. And I think he put out a statement. Trump said, don't escalate things with Ukraine. And Putin said, no, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. So, yeah, Donald Trump bent the knee to Putin. And he's not even getting anything in return for it, which is fucking hilarious. The real Zuckerberg, if the Democratic Party says tax the rich, then why does the majority of the donations come from them? That is not true whatsoever. 75% of all billionaire donations that happened in the last election cycle went to Republicans and Republican politicians. Banana, what kills more women, illegals or miscarriage complications? I guess the bigger question is, do migrants kill more people than American citizens? And the answer is no. Like, statistically, per capita, the answer is no. Now, are there more murders than there are women who die from pregnancy complications? Probably. I don't know. I haven't seen those numbers. But right now, the number that I know of confirmed women who have died from preventable complications because of abortion bans is 4. And that's too much. That's too many. Versus migrants, which is a very difficult problem to solve because we have a massive border that Donald Trump failed to build a border wall on that is effective at all. People can come in here from other countries if they have a passport. Anybody can do that. And Trump didn't stop that, by the way. Like, there were still people being murdered during Trump's first administration. There was still, I do laugh sometimes thinking about the way that Republicans will be like, Trump fixed the border. But then I remember during Trump administration how there were always these migrant caravans that were threatening to cross the border, and MS-13 was killing people during Trump's administration, So it's like, what the fuck are you guys even talking about, Smack says, what about the border now? Well, Democrats and Republicans tried to pass a bill to try to address some of the border issues, but Donald Trump told Republicans not to vote for it. So I do not trust Donald Trump to do any fucking thing about the border because all he cares about is political power. Let's see here. People get murdered born here all the time. Hello? Yeah, people get murdered who are born here and by people who were born here all the time. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Lauren says, because it was a bad bill, then why did Republicans write it? If it was a bad bill, then why did the Republicans write it to be a bad bill? Because Republicans wrote the bill. Let's see here. Foreign aid bill. The foreign aid bill was passed separate from the immigration bill. So you missed me with that fucking lie. Smack says that's not the real reason why it didn't pass. All right, I'm done with your propaganda, buddy. Get out of here. All right. Oh no, my little thing is stalled here. Okay. Pretty cool, everybody. Yeah, it's annoying to me when I tell you guys verifiable facts and they just say no. They just say nuh-uh, Jacob Meyer 325 says, what about Project 2025? It's a nightmare document, and Republicans have now admitted that since Trump won the election, that is their plan. So, yeah, good luck, everybody. Let's see here. Okay, Kojo says, you're a legend. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Macca gives me a headache. Me too. Let's see here. Biden bot says, nothing you say is facts. Well, nothing you say is going to be on my live anymore because you're blocked. Yasti says, what scares you most about our political future? There's a lot of things. Like, I'm worried about inflation, which every economist is saying that if Trump and Republicans do what they say they're going to do, it's going to spike inflation. That's number one. We're already living through a cost of living crisis, so I don't believe that they're going to help at all with that. I am worried about mass deportations because it's going to destroy families, and it's going to, it's going to traumatize children. I'm worried about national abortion ban because already we are seeing how much women are suffering because of these abortion bans in red states. And if the Trump administration gets their way, then that's going to be the entire country. And I'm worried about free and fair elections going forward, because with complete control of government and with the Supreme Court and with the immunity ruling, Trump has a lot of leeway to make sure that elections are not fair going forward. And so, Democrats are always operating on uneven ground because our electoral system gives them an unfair advantage. And with the current breakdown of governmental power, that advantage just got a lot bigger. And so Democrats are going to have to work a lot harder to win elections because they're not going to be as fair as they should be. And that worries me. And also propaganda. There's a ton of propaganda out there. I believe that it is propaganda is the reason why Trump and Republicans did so well this election. That and the incumbency bias. But, I think that is related. Because I think that if people really knew what the Biden administration had accomplished for them, then they would not have wanted to punish the incumbents that were in charge. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough out there. D-Balls says, well, he won the popular vote. Yeah, he did. Because, again, of propaganda. Let's see here. Interesting. Scott says, how was Steve's wedding? It was pretty darn fun. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't understand why you guys need to fucking waste your time gloating. All these people on here is like, we won the popular vote. Oh, we fucking did it, everybody. Get a fucking life, Created One says, what's Agenda 47? Agenda 47 is the official Trump platform that he put forward on his website and everything. It was really just like a sane washing version of Project 2025. It's basically just, a more digestible version of Project 2025. And they were always saying, like, Project 2025 isn't our platform. It's Agenda 47. It's not Project 2025. You guys are saying shit about Project. You guys are lying about Project 2025. And now that the election over, all of them are admitting, like, yeah, it is Project 2025. We're doing Project 2025. That's the plan, everybody. LL Moth says, are you an AI-generated bot? I am not Ilmoth. You fucking know I'm not. Biden stopped TPS. I don't know what you're talking about. Bobby Lee says, this guy is triggered. Cool. Oh my God, you're so cool with all your little snaps making fun of me and everything. Let's see here. Constantine says, pretty sure he won the popular vote. Nobody said he didn't. MSNBC, CNN, The View, New York Times aren't all propaganda. At least very biased. No, they're not propaganda. There's a big difference between media, legacy media, and propaganda. Propaganda is Fox News and Breitbart and OAN and shit like that. Stuff that cannot even be legally classified as news because they are so fucking bent towards just doing whatever Republicans want them to do. That's number one. Number two is there's also propaganda that's not like legacy media. There's propaganda that's like Tim Pool, for example. Tim Pool was getting paid by Russia to spread right-wing propaganda. And I'm sure that if Russia paid for that they also paid for other people. They probably paid for people that call themselves liberals or progressives or independents or centrists or whatever, and told them to spread narratives that would try to depress the vote. Things like, I actually made a list of these because I wanted to have them on hand. Both sides are the same. She hasn't earned my vote. I don't want to be complicit in a corrupt system. The lesser of two evils is still evil. Voting doesn't do anything. Harris is a centrist. I'm voting against the two-party system by not voting. Why didn't she fix it already? All of these are narratives that were pushed by people from all over the political spectrum. Some of them were probably properly paid operatives, and some of them were probably like useful idiots. Like they had been convinced by the paid accounts to spread this propaganda themselves. So that is there. What do you go? John Smith, I have limited time. What books or sources should I read to understand politics? Politics is for power. Winner take all. What's the other one I fucking love is Democracy or Else is another really good one. All right, let's see here. Is MSNBC media or propaganda? It is media. People say that it is liberal media, but I don't even believe that it is liberal media. I think the people call it liberal media because they are the only ones who are accurately describing Republican extremism, but people view that as being biased against Republicans instead of just telling the truth about Republicans, Let's see here. This guy says, Trump 2024, can you explain the 81 million votes for Biden in 2020? 81 million people voted for him. That's the explanation there. Anissa says, did you expect this election to go the other way? It did. I did. Let's see here. All right. Just going to do some little block in here. Peyton Howland says, should I end things before it gets bad? No, 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 no. Don't do that. Absolutely not, Peyton. Don't do that. Please. Don't do any self-harm. And nobody do anything, any self-harm. Don't do any violence. Don't do anything illegal. You know, I'm upset because the way that this election happened, we are all going to have to fight really, really hard in order to... Oh, no. All right. Yeah, I keep on getting reported by Trumpers for inactivity, so I have to dip out every once in a while to fix things. Let's see here. So yeah, like I said, I'm upset about it because it's more work. You know, like we're all gonna have to do a lot more work in order to try to put this country back on good footing. But the game is not over. You know, it's just gonna be difficult. You know, we're currently at the end of Empire Strikes Back, where the good guys are seemingly defeated. Let's see here. Paste Rippin' D Pathos says, how was the urns turn out more or less than 4 years ago? I'm not really sure what you mean by urns. Let's see here. This guy says that they are propaganda machines, but that is not true. Okay. Who'd you vote for? Democrats up and down the ballot. How's a felon going to get into some countries? Excellent question, you know. Let's see here. Okay. Already blocked that guy. Sanokov. Hey, turkey. That's pretty... Thank you for that turkey, everybody. Who is asking questions? I'm also live streaming on other platforms. Sankofa. And that is where I'm getting the majority of my questions. All right, scrolling down to the bottom here. What are you doing to deactivate your brainwashing? I have not been brainwashed. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, thoughts on the Department of Education being demolished? It's going to be a nightmare. You know, our public education system has already been massively defunded by Republican administrations. It is the reason why people are worried about sending their children to public school, because they believe, rightly so, that Republicans have strangled public education to the point where it is not as good of an education as it could be as private school education. And so families are being forced to buy private school education for their children, because we'll do anything for our children because we want them to succeed. And so, yeah, with the disbanding of the Department of Education, not only is public education going to get worse, but there are also going to be fewer standards. You know, like schools in Texas and Florida will be able to teach that, like, slavery was a great system and black people were so much happier as slaves, and it was actually harder for white people to have to manage all those slaves and give them homes and food and stuff like that. And secretly they were being paid wages, but the history books won't report that stuff, you know, shit like that. They're gonna, you know, have history books that say the KKK was like a heroic organization and shit like that, and you know, it's worrisome. It's worrisome. Xander Smith says, that might be the most outrageous statement I've ever heard. Do you mean from me, or do you mean that is the thing that the schools are going to be teaching? Because they're already leaning towards that. You know, I am not pushing on that door all that hard to assume where things are going. You know, Department of Education has made education demonstrably worse in the United States. Yeah, thanks to Republicans kneecapping them. Let's see here. Colonel Panic says, how can we ever talk or debate Republicans again, since they refuse to accept reality and facts? I don't know. I find it very difficult to engage with people because there is a lot of propaganda out there. Like, even me trying to talk to other Democrats who were convinced that not voting was the best thing to do, it's difficult. You know, it's difficult to break through. And it is going to be one of the main points that we're going to have to work on going forward, is just reaching out to people. And it has to be in person, because, you know, it's really difficult to change people's minds in person, but it's even harder to do it digitally online. You never know if you're actually talking to a real person or not. So yeah, you know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really difficult. But I think that, you know, you should listen to AOC on this, because she is already ringing the bell about not being dicks to people and not shaming people and meeting them where they are. You know, I don't really have a lot of patience for that right now, because I am still pretty pissed off about things. But, you know, but you guys should do that. You should do that, even if I don't. Let's see here. Anissa says, what do you feel about RFK? He's a liar and a fraud. And I cannot believe people have fallen for his bullshit. Let's see here. It's MAGA that's the problem. Yeah, I think it's all Republicans, basically. But I think there's a lot of problems everywhere else, where it's like, we need to convince people on the left to get involved and to not think that not voting is a viable option, that's going to change the administration somehow, Anissa says, wasn't he Democratic before? He was, but he changed. Something happened. He got a worm in his brain and ate a bunch of his brain, and now he's weird. Narti, why Biden stopped temporarily protected status for immigrants? He literally didn't. That is the reason why the Haitian immigrants are allowed to be in Springfield, Ohio. So Trump is threatening to do that. His borders are threatening to do that. So I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see here. Seriously, Susan, I feel defeated and don't feel like fighting anymore. I feel the exact same way as you. Seriously, Susan. But the goal for me is to eventually get back to feeling like fighting and to recognize that there are people who are not tired out there like us. Like I've been fighting for 8 years, and I am giving myself a break. I am giving myself the luxury to be a dick to people and enjoy my weekends and spend fun time with my wife playing video games and stuff like that. And, we will recharge and we will re-engage, because, giving up is what they want. Giving up and cynicism is what the right wing wants, and we can't give them what they want. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Will Elon be deported? Not now, now that he has thoroughly fingered Trump's butthole. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants, and he's probably going to get some really sick government contracts that are going to be full on corruption. He's going to force the government to buy a bunch of his shitty ass cars. He's going to make it really difficult for other car companies to operate. Other electric car companies are going to operate. He's probably going to try to monopolize charging stations and make it so that only Teslas will work on the charging stations. Just put it on the list of things that are a fucking nightmare about this election. Fuzzy Lumpkin says Elon is not an oligarch. I don't know. I think he is. Cole, let's see here. Banana says, why not just wait and see? I mean, that's the only thing we can do, is just wait and see. Flog says, every time I hear a story about someone who thinks Obamacare is different from the Affordable Care Act, I just want to cry. Yeah, there are a bunch of people that voted for Trump in 2016 who were shocked to discover that their Affordable Care Act insurance was the same as Obamacare. Sankofa Smuov says, so the party does not need to do/present more to get the voters to vote. Are you talking about Democrats or Republicans? Sankofa Smuov. Because I do have a lot of thoughts about that. We can definitely get into that if you like. Let's see here. Will McDonald's get cheaper? I don't know, but most likely not. Colby Fisher, pros and cons of tariffs. The pro is that it would potentially increase domestic import, increase domestic production. That is the theory behind tariffs. The problem with that theory is that it only works if every other country is doing it. So we were moving towards a more global economy, and tariffs were being lifted left and right, and trade deals were happening all around the globe. And, it's the reason why we were able to get goods from other countries, and everybody was able to have such a high quality of life here with their cheap electronics and shit like that. And then Trump got elected and started putting tariffs on countries that we were trading with. And then prices started going up. And, domestic production started going down for things like houses because he put a tariff on Canadian lumber, and we didn't have enough wood in this country to make enough houses. So yeah, and that was a big part of what started inflation in this country. Sun Noble says, will women be allowed to vote? That's one of those very extreme things that I don't put it past them. But I don't know if that's going to be like a day one thing. I don't know if it's going to be like The Handmaid's Tale, where it's just going to be like one day we have the rights and the next day we don't. But I know that is what they want. And I know that is all this trad wife shit that the right and males keep talking about is literally just subjugating women. It's like basically just saying like, we want women to not have the same rights that they used to have beforehand. Women shouldn't have bank accounts. They shouldn't have jobs. They shouldn't be able to vote, blah, blah, blah. It's part of their ethos. And, that is the more and more extreme that Republicans become, the more and more likely something like that happening will be. But, again, there is still such a thing as public pressure, even though, there have been suggestions by Republicans and Trump that they are not going to cow to public pressure, that they're going to use like the National Guard to shoot protesters and shit like that. But yeah, I think there are probably a lot of Republicans in government who are still very skittish about doing things that are that extreme, such as like taking the right away, taking the right to vote away from women and stuff like that. But I just want to be clear about something, that is what they want. Even if they don't do it immediately, that is what they want to do. Like, look at their rhetoric. Look at the things that they're saying. Let's see here. Cordiz says, oh, he's a comedian guy. He's just making jokes. I understand now. Nope. Let's see here. Sadie Sauce says, U.S. is imploding. Is there anything citizens can do? Absolutely, there is things that citizens can do. You should check out organizations that are working to go against the current, the incoming administration. So you got Run for Something, you got Vote Save America, you got Fair Fight. There are a lot of great organizations out there. They're going to be doing the work. And so if you want to do something, there are plenty of places to do something. And we're going to need people to do things. So please do not despair. Please take as much time as you need to recover and then get back to work. Anissa says, that is very extreme because then there will be a civil war. I don't know if there will be a civil war because it seems like only one side wants there to be a civil war, and that's Republicans, the ones who want. Nate called me a soul boy. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate that. Banana, what is a better country to move to? I mean, it depends on what you want. I would love to live in a country that has universal healthcare, for example. So, the UK, Sweden, Norway, pretty much every other industrialized nation, Oh, excuse me. Sankofa Smav over on YouTube says the party does not need to present more to get the voters to vote. So here's the problem that I have with that argument, Sankofa, which is that Democrats are always being judged by a stricter standard, a harsher standard than Republicans. So, you could say, well, the Democrats didn't do enough to push back on Israel doing war crimes against Gaza. Well, the Republicans said that they literally want to nuke Gaza and that Bibi Netanyahu can do whatever the fuck he wants and that they will do whatever, So Democrats are better on that issue, but nobody gave Democrats credit for that issue. And they're not blaming Republicans. They're not, the uncommitted movement wasn't saying, well, Trump will be worse, and so let's all vote for Kamala. You could say that Democrats haven't done enough for working class people. It's like, well, Biden was arguably the most pro-union, pro-worker president that we've had in decades. He got the rail workers their sick days. He was on a picket line. We are trying to pass raising the minimum wage. We are trying to strengthen unions, trying to strengthen labor laws and stuff like that. And Republicans are literally doing the opposite. So why then is the argument that Democrats need to do more for the working class when Republicans, who literally just won the election, were doing even less for the working class? Women's rights. People were saying like, oh, why didn't Democrats do enough to codify Roe in the past? Why didn't they do enough to stop the Dobbs decision during Biden's administration? And it's like, well, Republicans were the ones who did those things. Republicans appointed the Supreme Court justices that got rid of abortion. And it's Republican states where women are currently dying and suffering at the hands of these abortion bans. So why are Democrats then the ones that are punished for this? Why do Democrats need to do more for this? You can complain all you want about Harris's campaign, like, she didn't do enough interviews of this kind, or she didn't do this or this or that. Every mistake that you're talking about, Trump did only 10 times worse. So how come those rules only matter for Democrats and not Republicans? Like, that's where I'm at right now, where I'm just so fucking tired of Democrats never getting any fucking credit and Republicans never getting any fucking blame. The Inflation Reduction Act should have been enough to ensure a blue wave in this election, the largest investment in green energy in our nation's history. We were building a nuclear reactor's worth of solar panels every fucking day, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act. We were revitalizing small towns with safe, green energy jobs that were just as well paying as coal mining and oil drilling, but were safer and cleaner and better for everybody. But nobody gives a shit about that. Biden brought inflation from 9% back down to 2.4%. But everybody's just mad at him for cost of living. Everybody's just like, why didn't you do anything about cost of living? And it's like, well, we were in the middle of it. We were in the process of it. And we did it all with almost no help from Republicans. And once Republicans took the House, we weren't able to do fucking anything because they became fully obstructionists. We're like, we're not going to pass shit. But it is the savviness of the Biden administration that they were able to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the first bipartisan gun safety legislation in over 2 decades, the CHIPS and Science Act, which brought manufacturing back to the states, the PACT Act, which increased veterans' access to health care. Like, why don't any of those things matter? Why doesn't that matter? Why do Democrats need to do more than that when Republicans are out there being fucking psychopaths, saying that they like Hitler, killing women with these fucking bullshit abortion bans, you know, stealing children from immigrant parents and then losing those parents, and now those children are fucking orphans here in this country. Thousands of them. Thousands of children are now orphans thanks to the Trump administration and their family separation policy. And, you know, you can argue all you want, oh, I guess they shouldn't have come here illegally, but is that worth that? Like, is that a good punishment for a parent crossing a border because they didn't want their kid to join some fucking cartel? That they should be separated from their children? That kid's got PTSD for the rest of his fucking life now, and those parents are suffering the worst pain a parent could ever possibly feel, losing their children. Why don't any of those things matter? Why don't the fucking Donald Trump getting up there and telling a bunch of billionaires, if you give me $1 billion, I will cut your taxes? That's literally fucking bribery. Why doesn't it fucking count? Why doesn't it count that Trump gets in front of a bunch of fucking fossil fuel, CEOs and say, if you give me $1 billion, I'm going to cut regulations so you can do as much pollution as you fucking want? Why doesn't any of that matter? Why do Democrats have to do more than just not doing that? That's where I'm at right now, you know? So you can miss me with all that fucking bullshit about, Democrats should have done this is what cost them election, you know, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't have said you were protecting democracy. People don't like democracy because that's what got them into this place in the first place. It's like, well, I guess I just assumed that people had seen a fucking movie about what dictatorships are like. I guess people had remembered what it was like, you know, why this country formed in the fucking first place, because we were living under the yoke of a monarch and we didn't like that. But no, let's vote for another monarch instead. Like, why do Democrats have to do more than that? Is my question. So yeah, that is my answer to you, San and Kofa, and I want to thank you sincerely for your question because I really enjoyed it. That is the rant that I wanted to do today. Flunk Sauce Dragon over on YouTube. Do you think they will change cannabis laws? I think that it is very likely that they will. I mean, the Biden administration never reclassified weed as a not a Schedule I substance. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Trump administration did something about the state laws around legalization. Let's see here. Miss Emily says, yes, let's vote for the corrupt billionaires. That is so smart. Yeah, completely agree with that. Sunshine Wildflower. And why was the insurrectionist allowed to run for president in the first place? Because he had control of the Supreme Court. That's why. You know, it's not fair, but that's the case. Janie Briggs says, does America get out of this intact? Honestly, I don't know. But if a lot of people do work, then we have a chance. Then we have a shot. Cricket 2024. We were screaming into the void trying to educate our most illiterate. Yeah. Completely agree with that. Millie Goose, good to see you again. What's up, Millie Goose? What does 60% tariff on China look like? It looks like prices of everything going up like crazy. Tizzy, doesn't most of the top billionaires in America vote Dem? I don't know how they vote, but I know that 75% of the donations that billionaires made to politicians this past election cycle went to Republicans. Banana, Kamala ran on abortion. I mean, I think she should have. We saw evidence that abortion was a motivating issue for women voters in this country, to the point where abortion ballot measures were passing in deep red states like Kansas and Ohio. So there was a lot of data suggesting that that women would turn out to stop abortion bans from happening in this country, but they didn't. And I have some theories as to why they didn't, but I don't know why they didn't. Let's see here. Miss Emily, abortion is just way to win. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Miss Emily. Abortion is a way to sway votes. Are you saying that that Democrats let abortion bans happen because they wanted to get more votes? Because if that's what you're saying, I don't agree with that. All right, let's see here. Okay. User, a whole bunch of numbers, says, I'm a business major and this guy is full of shit and I will probably get muted like I usually do after. Well, if you tell me why you think I'm full of shit, then I wouldn't mute you. But instead you're just going, nuh-uh. And, you know, you're also a user who doesn't have a fucking username and you don't even have a fucking profile picture. So, yeah, you're fucking out of here, buddy. See you later. Okay. Yeah, yikes. This guy knows nothing. Cool, cool, cool. All right, sweet. You're already blocked. Fantastic. All right, let's get back down to the bottom here. Why was there 15 to 20 million votes less? So those numbers are based on last week, and they're still counting votes. So it's looking like the number is closer to 8 million fewer votes this election than in 2020. And, you know, I think there were a lot of reasons. I think there were a lot of causes to that. I think we had substantially higher voter turnout in 2020 because of the pandemic. And I also think that there's been a lot more don't vote propaganda out there these past 4 years. And, you know, I have a lot of theories about this. I think that there were probably paid influencers on apps, social media apps like Twitter and Facebook and shit like that, who were telling people not to vote because, you know, insert your reason. You know, it'll teach the Democrats a lesson. It'll be a vote against the two-party system if you don't vote. You don't want to be complicit in whatever the Democrats have done, you know, blah, 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 shit like that. Let's see here. Andrea, why were there record numbers of turnouts, though? I haven't seen that data, Andrea. I haven't seen that there were that there was both record high turnout and fewer votes. Like, I haven't seen that. Let's see here. Justin, congratulations. You are out of here. Banana, like, why can't they just get the fuck up and do shit instead of bitching about it? I'm not really sure what you're getting at, Banana. Can you give us some hope? Have you witnessed a Republican actually changing their mind? You know, I'll give you some hope. I canvassed a bunch for this upcoming election. And a lot of my canvassing was talking to people who had already made up their mind, you know, and some of it was, you know, talking to people and just making sure, like, hey, do you have a ride? You know, we know that you want to vote. Do you have everything that you need to vote? And people were really nice. People were really sweet and kind. And they were thanking us for what they were like, what you're doing is so important. Thank you so much. And then there were a couple of times when, you know, I think it was really just 2 times that I talked to somebody where they were just like, yeah, I don't know. Give me your best pitch. And, you know, I told them what I thought about the election, and they were really nice about it. And, you know, they told me in the moment that changed their mind, but I don't know. But we do know that persuasion is possible. We do know that where Kamala Harris was focusing her campaign, she did better. It's the reason why Trump did better in states like New York and California is because Kamala's campaign wasn't there. So, you know, we see that our effort has an effect. Let's see here. Angie Gut says, Elon's Starling, any thoughts? I have not seen any legitimate substantive reporting on that. So I would encourage you to not spread conspiracy theories. I would encourage you to make sure that you are saying things that are accurate. You know. Let's see here. All right. DACA recipients who graduated college. Any thoughts? I think anybody who is here, who could potentially seem as though they are a migrant, should be extremely worried about their future in this country. Joey is nuts. When and why did the Republican and Democratic Party flip from the 1800s to now? I believe that this happened after JFK was assassinated. Lyndon B. Johnson passed the Equal Rights Act, I believe it was called. And people in the South did not like that. And so they said that we're going to vote for Republicans now because they said that they will be racist for us. It's literally what Nixon called it, the Southern strategy. And he said, if we're just racist, then the racists in the South will like us, even though we are a pro-corporate party. And that's what happened. That is what happened. Andrea, and what about what Putin did? Just a rumor. What are you referring to, Andrea? Putin does a lot of shit. Millie Goose, they voted for lower gas prices. Do you believe gas prices will be lower with tariffs? No, but I also don't think that, I don't really have a lot of faith that the oil producing, people and companies that are producing oil are not in league with the Republican Party. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if gas prices came down because they're trying to juice Donald Trump's numbers because they like it when Republicans are in charge because Republicans don't believe in climate change and they are against regulating pollution and, greenhouse gases and shit like that. So yeah, I wouldn't put it past them at all. Tim Philosophy says, how happy are you that Trump won? Not happy at all. Let's see here. Flonk Sauce. I almost forgot. Don't forget to share. Thank you, Flonk Sauce. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Timothy Dreyer says, looking at the numbers, Harris had about 10 million less votes than Biden, which is crazy to me. I mean, to me, if you look at the incumbency bias that happened all around the world, it makes perfect sense. Like the ruling parties were voted against in every election that happened this year, regardless of the country, regardless of the political party. So conservative political parties suffered, left-leaning political parties suffered, everybody did. But also, there was a lot of propaganda out there telling people not to vote. And I think that was a big part of why there was fewer turnout this year. But, we should mention that Harris got more votes than every Democrat who ran for president before her except Joe Biden. Let's see here. Banana. All we heard was vote, vote, vote. Well, that was all that we could do, Banana. I'm interested in your view on this, Banana, because I understand. I saw a couple of your comments and it seemed like you were suggesting that liberals are like kind of feckless, and I would love to get into that with you if you respond and let me know what your whole fucking deal is. Miss Emily, how do you feel about Starlink being used for polling networks? Again, I haven't seen any substantive reporting on that. I only know that I have seen that reported on TikTok from very suspicious looking accounts. So I would encourage you to dig further into that before you start telling people that 100% happened. Let's see here. Angie Guts. Some folks are already regretting that they voted for the wrong candidate. Yeah. Google searches for, can I change my vote? And what is the tariff? Peaked right after the election. So yeah. Kit Carver says, Democrats have horrible policy. No, they don't. They have much better policy. And that's the thing. That's the thing, guys. This is where we know that our current media environment and our electoral system is total bullshit. This is why we know. Is because when Democrats put their policies on ballots as ballot referendums, they get voted for unanimously. We're talking about like 70% approval. And that is abortion referendums, that is raising the minimum wage, that is re-enfranchising voters. All of that stuff passes. But for some reason, people don't want to vote for Democrats, which is the party that those platforms come from. So what is it? Why is that? And I think the reason is propaganda. I think it's that Republicans have been fucking smearing Democrats for decades. And there are leftists out there who, whether they are useful idiots or paid propagandists, they are out there saying that you shouldn't vote for Democrats because they're not far left enough. And the Republicans are out there saying that you shouldn't vote for Democrats because they're too far left. And there are, people out there who are putting their opinions on fucking social media saying, don't vote because if you vote, you will be complicit in a corrupt system, or don't vote. It'll send the message to the elites that we don't like the two-party system, or, don't vote for Democrats. If they wanted to save abortion, they could have, but they didn't want to. All of this material out there has painted Democrats as this feckless, weak, party that is full of weirdos and extremists who want to fucking, give trans surgery your child while you're at work. And it's all fucking bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. I've been hearing this shit since the 90s. Democrats want to gay marry your dog and shit like that. It's all fucking bullshit. And that's the reason why. The policies are so popular. The policies are what America wants. But because they have been told that the Democratic Party is poison, they don't want to vote for them. They want to vote for the policy, but they don't want to vote for Democrats themselves. Alrighty here. We're at about an hour. I'm going to do my outro, but then I'm going to do some more questions after my outro because I really like doing these. I really like doing these. Let's see here. Bridget, Tea Party in the next election? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Tea Party is dead. I fucking hope they are. Bits and Lisa. Oh, yeah, my outro. I'm doing my outro. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for the comments, for all the support. I appreciate any kind of support that you guys want to give me. If you can give me the financial kind, that's great. That is gifts. That is subscriptions. That is going to my Patreon. That is buying stuff from my spring store. But if you can't afford that, and I know we're in a cost of living crisis, you don't have to give me money if you don't have it. Like it's totally fine. But any other kind of support that's free, I would really appreciate. Likes, shares, telling your friends, like all that stuff. I'm on here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time. And I will sometimes augment that with a Monday or Tuesday live stream just because I really like doing these. And, it really helps me get some of the thoughts out of the old noodle. But if you're ever curious about what I'm up to, when I'm going to be streaming, what some of my past work, you can go to my website, jarrettberenstein.com. All of my shit is there, all of my links to everything. And if you ever miss one of these live streams and you want to catch up on it, I put these up on YouTube and as a podcast as well. So thank you again for being here. And, I know that we're all really upset right now, so just please don't be despondent. Do whatever self-care that you need to get done. And then, let's just get back into the fight, And that is advice that I'm giving myself because, I definitely want to throw myself in a river, but instead I am going to watch TV with my wife, and I am going to get coffee with my friends, and I'm going to, play video games and go to the movies. And then once I am feeling up to it, then I will get back into the sauce. All right, let's see here. Let's get a couple of last questions, and then we will wrap things up. G, why do you believe 50 million Democrats did not vote in this election? Again, G, that number is probably closer to 8 million since we're still counting votes. But I've already discussed this. Like, there's an incumbency bias that is global, not just America. And also, there's a lot of propaganda out there telling people not to vote. So, yeah. All right, last questions. John Bucci, how can you say America wants to vote for Democrats when America just voted and said they don't? I literally just told you why. Because they're voting for the platform initiatives on ballot initiatives, but not Democrats. So, explain the disconnect there. My man, use a whole bunch of numbers. That's a good plan. I'm involved in local efforts and community that shares my values is rewarding. That's great. I fucking love that. Darren Johnson says, nothing telling people not to vote. Okay, cool, if you say so, but I saw it a fucking million times, so you can miss me with that bullshit. Elsa, do you feel that they would be able to successfully push everything on Project 2025? I do. I'm sorry, Elsa. I know that's really bad news, but I do. They have the Supreme Court. And in addition to having Supreme Court now, they are also, Alito and Thomas are going to retire. And so they're going to put 2 more Supreme Court justices in who are even more extreme than them and younger. So we've lost the Supreme Court. The judicial landscape in general is a lot more conservative because of all the judges that Trump sat and that he's going to continue sitting. They have all 3 branches of government. They have, the White House, the judiciary, and the legislative. And Project 2025, part of the plan is to fire government employees and replace them with people that will just do whatever Donald Trump tells them to do. So yeah, the plan is there. The people are there. The only thing that is stopping them is if they want to or not. And they want to. So it's like, I sure hope that we have enough fight in this because, all the pieces are in place. Let's see here. Angie Guts says recount. I'm not sure if there's any movements for a recount. I have not seen any substantive reporting to suggest that there is going to be a recount. John Bucci says all the states that don't require ID to vote are blue states. Because voter ID is completely unnecessary, and Republicans have admitted that it is a voter suppression tactic. Let's see here. Can you explain why people do not want IDs for voting? So here's the thing, Rick, and I've talked about this before. And sometimes I get these questions and I worry that I'm wasting my fucking time because I feel like the people that are asking it don't even give a shit for the actual reason. But I'll say it anyways because what the fuck else am I doing on here? Besides repeating the same fucking, counter talking points to Republican bullshit. But here's the reason why, okay? The reason why Republicans want voter ID is a voter suppression tactic. They know that poor people and marginalized communities tend to have IDs at lower rates than other people do. They know this statistically, and they have admitted this. They have said so in their fundraising calls that this is the reason why they did this. We know this. We know this to be the case. It has nothing to do with election security. They've admitted it. It is widely reported. It's complete and utter bullshit. 2, it is unnecessary because our elections are already extremely fair and secure. We, double and triple check our voter registration files. and we make sure that only citizens are voting. Now, is there a compromise on the table? Absolutely. Make IDs free and easy to get. And then every Democrat would be like, cool, have voter ID. We don't give a shit. But Republicans aren't going to do that, because the entire reason why they want to do voter ID is because they want to make it harder for people to get IDs, so that the people who can't afford to take time off work or spend $80 to get an ID, then they won't vote. And those people tend to vote Democrat more than anything. So yeah, that's the reason why. All right, now we have a bunch of people just telling me that I was lying. IDs are wildly easy to obtain. They only cost $15 in Florida. Democrats want our ID so they can pump illegals into the country and pay them to vote blue. No, those are all lies. That's all bullshit. You guys remember how I've been talking this whole fucking live about propaganda? That's that. That's what I'm talking about, is I'm up here telling you the truth about shit, and there's people in the comments just saying, no, he's lying, he's full of shit. And none of the things they say make sense. So if Dems won't want voter ID because illegals, we can pump illegals into the country and pay them to vote blue, then why did we just lose this fucking election? Because we were in power. We had the Senate. We had the White House. Why didn't we do it? Yeah, fucking miss me with that shit. All right, I gotta go. I got an appointment. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. I'll be back here tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the shares and everything. Please come back and check me out again and give me your great questions and shit like that. And stay involved. Do your self-care, but do not give up. All right, take it easy. Bye, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.